What'd you do?
Oh,
Stuff is not the word. Move. I guess I should get this thing to work before I sit down, before I get called to stand up.
now they, the legislation says vote. Oh, well, it's still, well, if you vote, if you adopt it, you're going to, approve or deny it. But if you vote no, then you go against.
It must be.
Wait, upholding the decision. Okay, so you're gonna overturn. Oh, you don't want that? You want it to go?
What's authority?
It's on there. Looking for confirmation. It better be on there. Look at number C.
All right, so how's my main man? Good. Good. I'm happy. He's here. He's here. We just opened it up. You my man. You my main man. Oh, that's Gary.
The meeting of the Shreveport City Council meeting is called to order. Mr. Dirk, will you give the invocation, and Councilman Jim Talaferro will give the pledge.
You bow your heads with me? Dear God, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be here, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve the people of Shreveport. As we go through this meeting today, help us to remind ourselves that we are all in the same boat together, that we all work together, and that we all try to do what we can for your benefit. And dear God, I want to say a special prayer today for Jerry Bowman and for his recovery, and thank you for healing him so far, and thank you for the doctors and everybody else who worked to get him to that point. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All face the flag of the greatest country on earth, and as we recite our pledge, let us be mindful and appreciative of the sacrifices of our MIAs and POWs. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Taylor, Councilman Brooks,
Here.
Councilman Talaferro,
Here, ma'am.
Councilman Butcher, Councilman Jackson,
Here.
Councilman Green,
I'm here.
and Councilwoman Bowman.
Present?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Council Chair Taylor asked that we would announce that she would be out for the entire week. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the administrative conference meeting Monday, July 21st, 2025, and the city council meeting Tuesday, July 22nd?
So moved.
Oh, I apologize. It's gonna be tomorrow.
Does any council members have any awards, recognitions, or distinguished guests not to exceed 15 minutes? I have one. Mr. Clark?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, sir. I called you. You got a presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for allowing us to do the master plan update in this meeting instead of your second meeting. We have the lead consultant from Asakura Robinson here with us today, and he will give you a thorough update in a 20-minute time frame of exactly what's going on. Andrew.
Great. Well, thank you all, and let me make sure that this presentation is pulled up. Cool. Well, appreciate this time to opportunity to speak with you all this afternoon. My name is Andrew Newpol, project manager with Askew Robinson. So I've been working with the MPC for the city of Shreveport the past about year and a half on the update to the master plan. So appreciate your time. What we'll do today is give an update on where we are as we look towards the finish line and get ready to prepare, bring some more information to you all in the near future. So as a quick recap, we started work on the master plan update in February of 2024. So this has been quite a long time coming. We spent most of summer 2024 working to prepare for community outreach, had a number of community meetings in fall 2024 that were moderately well attended, but we did get some good feedback from that. But we spent a good chunk of this year so far really working to focus on implementation for this master plan. We overwhelmingly heard that the vision for the last master plan is pretty solid, but there's some work we need to do to implement it a bit more effectively. So I'll spend a little bit of time today catching you all up on some of the progress, what our timeline for completion looks like, but also some of the key recommendations that our planning team is recommending to the MPC and the city as we move forward to help really achieve this vision. So to take a step back, as you all are likely aware, the Great Expectations Master Plan was adopted in 2010. This was a large community-driven initiative that resulted in a significant amount of community input and the creation of a community vision that describes goals such as encouraging development inside the loop, green and healthy communities, creating neighborhoods of choice was a major component of the last plan, with really an expectation that showing investment, showing quality of life in each neighborhood was important, that each neighborhood would be served with quality infrastructure and services. And we really started this project as an update to that, focusing on what is working, how are we feeling about the current vision, and how do we go from there. And the general feedback we got was that the community really believes that vision is still relevant 15 years later. That's still the direction they want to see the city head. But they had some more pointed critique for us in terms of the execution of it. A couple major themes. We asked them to basically score 1 to 5 each of the vision themes. How important is this today? How are we doing on it? And there were about 4 that had some of the biggest gaps, including fairness, opportunity for everyone, green and healthy community, connected people, places, communication, transparency, community participation. And we share this today just to help ground part of our team's approach. We've really been focused on implementation. The vision's good, which is a huge accomplishment from that last plan. But we're in slightly different economic circumstances than we were 15 years ago. And a master plan like this, which guides development, depends on people wanting to develop here, what the market is driving. So there's been a little bit of strategy shift that we've been working through. And as we go back, as our team's completed our work, to do background research, understand the work that has been done, have a lot of one-on-one conversations with your stakeholders. We want to emphasize that a lot of important work was done since 2010. The adoption of the Unified Development Code, albeit ever-evolving document that is evolving, is still in progress, is a really significant step to achieve the quality of development that the last master plan anticipated and called out for. But realistically, the challenge is that when you're losing population, the zoning code is not going to be the most effective tool to achieve the type of development we want to see in all neighborhoods across the city. But some other really important milestones included the completion of the Choice Neighborhoods Planning and Transformation Grants in Allendale and Ledbetter Heights. Some transportation progress has been done with the Regional Thoroughfare and NLCOG, and the completion of a Parks and Rec Comprehensive Master Plan. So all these, in addition to some of your more internally focused departmental master plans, show there's been a lot to support planning and development in the city, but we want to focus it maybe a little more on some neighborhoods. And I believe, I know I shared this slide with members of the master plan committee when we met back in February, but one of the reasons why it's important to take a step back from the last master plan is because the overarching theme here was creating quality development inside the loop and in every neighborhood. And as we look at where we were in 2010, where we are today, the previous plan anticipated adding tens of thousands of jobs and people that would come to Shreveport, they would invest in the city, and that would drive new growth and investment in our neighborhoods. And we know that the city is not out of those jobs. It's, in fact, lost jobs in population. And there are some other challenges that accompany that. We know that there's more housing vacancy. There have been neighborhoods that have lost population. The ones shown in red have generally lost. Yellow stayed about static. Green has gained a little bit more. When we look at that, we look at the black outlines there are adjudicated properties, for example. These are compounding issues here that need to be addressed together. It's about how our economy is doing. It's about how our city is doing. It's about how we're managing adjudicate property and blight. So what we want to note really is that this master plan, as we've come to do our work, we've realized that this master plan has to address community development as really a critical component of it. And how do we work with our vacant adjudicated property specifically? And I feel like that's pretty complementary to a lot of the initiatives that have been working through the city in the past year or so. So just a quick update on where we are. We are wrapping up with our first full draft of the plan, working through workshopping this with staff and making sure that the recommendations are well thought out. They're updated and appropriate where needed. So we spent some time to update key pieces of this, like your future land use map. Basically says, where do we grow? How do we provide guidance for what that growth looks like? We've been working to pull together a lot of the information about active transportation, parks, trails, to help create a green print, which is kind of a plan for key sidewalks, bike lanes, trails, but also think about how can these also serve as development strategies. How do they complement the type of vision we want to see for growth? But the last part here, which is really important, we'll talk a little bit more about today, is really about this idea of neighborhood change. So how do we support positive change in our neighborhoods, every neighborhood across the city, and not just have it be about zoning, but also how we use the full force of city government, so capital planning, economic development, and blight abatement to help create these neighborhoods of choice. So like I said, we'll be working to share a bit more about this with y'all as we have a draft getting near completion here. But a couple of things to look out for will be an updated future land use map. So this is our idea of where we grow, parcel by parcel, what kind of development are we anticipating. We do have continued focus on neighborhood revitalization, again, focusing growth, focusing development, inside the loop on major transit corridors. We're really scoping this to support kind of neighborhood planning activities and future infill development, with some deep dives like what you're seeing from what we're calling the central planning area, and a bit more detail here for how we can think more about revitalizing commercial centers and also working on kind of corridor planning that's integrated with transit and roadway improvements as well. Because again, this is really all about how do we leverage every dollar that goes into planning and development in the community to help achieve that goal. Again, that green print builds on some of the recommendations from the Great Expectations, some of the recent work that's been done, such as your Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So again, what are some maybe priority trails, bike lanes, sidewalk, park projects here? Again, recognizing that quality of life is extremely important. Green and healthy community is one of those themes we heard quite a bit about from the community during this process. So again, how does every dollar we spend on capital projects, how can it help support and encourage new development and the development we want to see? As we look towards the next 5 years, what we want to leave y'all with and start a conversation about today is really thinking about how this plan stays off the shelf. So, there's some important takeaways from the last plan that were recognized. The importance of updating zoning and development regulations that resulted in the UDC. But we want to leave y'all with really 4 key priorities that we would recommend working towards in the next 5 years. And they are to create a culture of neighborhood planning, to link the master plan and your capital planning processes, to build staff and community capacity to get the plan done, and to launch a professional redevelopment authority. I'll talk a little bit more about each of these, but in addition to the goals, the policies, strategies that are carried forward from the last master plan, they've been updated. These are 4 pieces that we feel as a consultant team are really important to help keep this plan going, help build momentum, and ultimately put the pieces together for great neighborhoods. So I'll provide a quick summary of what each of these are just for y'all's awareness. And again, we'll be working to develop some more specific action items for each of these. But the culture of neighborhood planning is where we really want to impress the importance of this with y'all, because we know that the master plan at a citywide level, it is hard to see what the change is, where it's happening. It's hard to align capital projects like sidewalks, streets, parks, and see that visible change in your neighborhoods. The success of the Choice Neighborhoods program that was done for Allendale, Ledbetter Heights shows that this approach is effective. It shows how when you coordinate investment, it can help to support high quality places to live. It can help to leverage different funding streams here. And it also creates relationships and partnerships with the community as well. So it's about not just about development, not just about zoning, but again, how do we think about the supporting parks, sidewalks, streetscapes, and so on that help create, show that there's things happening in these neighborhoods and they're worth caring about. The second piece here is tied to that, linking the master plan and capital planning. This is a little more internally focused, but again, thinking about how do we use the master plan to help guide where we invest in neighborhoods. So there are diverse needs across the city that can support development in different ways, but thinking about everything from, where do we need to improve the sidewalks, for example? And I come back to that a lot. It's kind of a low-hanging fruit here, but if we hear from the community that, this sidewalk is dangerous, there are gaps in it, I can't safely roll there to get to the bus, that helps us identify where we have these needs, helps us think about, okay, how do we start to design it, account for it, and then fund it later on? How do we start to focus and package these projects to be more effective, to hopefully find some cost savings here, and again, catalyze the type of development we want? The third piece is about staff and community capacity. So this is, a little bit of how do we work more effectively? How do we scrape together the change under the couch cushions here across our departments, but also continue to build staff capacity, think about training, communication, coordination across departments, maybe where needed to reorganize staff departments as well to help create efficiencies. But again, really, how do we focus all these resources towards our neighborhoods in an effective way? So we're not just looking at with blinders at, just the zoning map, just water, sewer lines, transportation. But again, how do you put all these pieces together to create that critical mass? And the last part here is about launching a professional redevelopment authority. And I know that the adjudicated property map I showed earlier, I think kind of underpins the scale of this and why this matters so much. The Shreveport Implementation Redevelopment Authority has unique powers under state statute to be able to clear title and address adjudicated property in a more effective, faster way than the city. And it needs to be staffed and funded to be able to address what is really the main issue here, which is adjudicated property and these kind of problem sites. So as the city is working through block by block, this initiative to help clean up vacant, abandoned property, deal with kind of these quality of life issues, Sierra has the opportunity to help figure out that next step and be a partner in that process. But it does take staff resources to be able to, do it effectively, do it in line with the community's vision, and make sure it's staying within its legal guardrails there. So where we're headed is we're hoping this month to complete our draft of the plan. So again, we have kind of a 80% draft, some missing pieces here, some questions that, on this trip up here, I'll be working with some of your department heads and staff to help figure out, hey, does this work? Is this already in the docket? And make sure that, these are some of our recommendations from an outside perspective. Make sure these are appropriate and tailored to the city. Because again, our goal is to leave y'all with a plan that you can execute. So we'll be working to refine the recommendations this month and ultimately hope to have a full plan ready for review in September 2025. So our goal for September will be to help get this out there, think about some media and communication strategies to help people understand what's proposed for my neighborhood, what is the city going to be doing, and what is our action plan to execute. We'll be spending a little bit of time in October working with the MPC board to vet this, refine this, build in community feedback as well. But our goal is to ultimately bring this to the MPC for a public hearing in November and bring this to y'all at the end of the year for adoption at one of your December council meetings. So we're really excited to be at this point. It's been a lot of good conversation with staff, with you all about some of the challenges that the city faces, but also the ample opportunities that are here as well. And I think I just want to, again, end with this when I do these types of conversations too, is we're saying there's a lot of work to do. But we also want to go back to the fact that Shreveport, we truly believe, we're not local, but I've been here almost every month for the past about 18 months. But emphasize that Shreveport has really good bones. There is, there has been population loss, there is vacant property, but you have a lot of streets in place, you have, utilities are out there. They might need a little bit of updating, a little bit of refreshing like any city does. But Shreveport is still the center of a major region. Y'all have the historic, cultural, natural assets a lot of other cities don't have. And there are challenges, but I will say that ultimately, y'all can control your own destiny if you plan for it. And we think that, focusing on the neighborhoods, focusing on really the execution of it, there's a vision there. It shoots for the stars. But there's a lot more that can be done by focusing on the small things, by doing them really well. Capital planning, communication, and putting the plan to work. So appreciate your time. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And for next steps.
Any questions?
Madam Chair. Very quickly, outstanding presentation. Very, very informative. So how is a model developed like this? Is there a template, or is that just the way it is? And then my question is, out of the cities that you've already looked at, what city by comparison has the most impressive master plan that we would like to emulate?
Sure.
Based on our population, apples and apples, so forth.
I'll share a couple of precedents that we looked at as far as the execution, the implementation strategy, but also the overall vision. We did try to focus really on cities that are kind of, similar in the Sun Belt, in the South, have worked through some of the same historic issues and challenges that Shreveport has. So, there were a couple of cities we looked to as we developed the master plan to help guide our work and to help build out that template that's really tailored to Shreveport, tailored to unique conditions here. There are two that stand out. As far as the master plan goes, I do think that Memphis has a very solid comprehensive plan, which also has a focus on neighborhood scale, but also adjudicated property, sort of vacant property reuse as well. I believe it won one of the American Planning Association's national awards a couple years ago. So we looked at that as a model in terms of, how do you anticipate future change and maybe a challenging market? And it had a good bit of detail here for some of the neighborhood planning work that we feel is a good next step here to help. Where do you have to refine zoning? Where do you have to refine historic preservation strategies? So Memphis 3.0 is a very good precedent in our opinion. The other one we looked at quite a bit and we feel has some very similar strategies as far as next steps. It's not a comprehensive plan, but it's the work that is being done by Build Baton Rouge, which is the East Baton Rouge Redevelopment Authority. It's a similar agency to the Shreveport Implementation Redevelopment Authority, similar city enabling authority and context as well. So one thing we want to be thoughtful about is what can be done under your state enabling authority? What can the city legally do? And the things that Build Baton Rouge does really well is this focus on neighborhood planning. So they are a fairly mature land bank. They have that similar function to help clear title on tax adjudicated property. But they've also focused on, what do you do with the property after you clear the title? Does it go to housing and affordable housing production? Does it go towards corridor economic development? And there's some work that they've been doing with the Plank Road, focusing on it's equal parts adjudicated property, but also transit planning as well. So it's a really strong plan that was done there, as well as some of the work they've done on the Cortana corridor as well, Florida Boulevard in Baton Rouge. So we feel that's a fairly good model in terms of similar structure, similar precedent, and it can be done by another city in the same state. And it's really a story there more about capacity building, understanding that strategic vision, and helping to build the resources over time to achieve that work.
And one further question, I know I'm going to put you on the spot here because it's going to be a short answer, I think, is that you've been here for how many months in our midst?
It's about 18. I just came out. My first trip up here was February 2024.
Okay. So basically what you've seen, what do you consider is our, I'm going to say, biggest asset? I mean, if you could just narrow it down to one or two. And you can just, one word answer. It doesn't matter to me, but
yeah.
I'm just curious.
Honestly, it's two answers: land and people. Easy things. Y'all have a lot of land. Y'all have, existing areas have been developed. It's there. It's ready to be used, but it needs to be activated and repurposed for such. The other side is you have great people. You have organizations that are doing a lot of work. You have talented staff. You have philanthropic organizations, private developers that are doing this work, but they're not always in the room at the same time where they need to be. So working on that, I think, is an important opportunity because that's how you put all the pieces together in these neighborhoods.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Madam Chair. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Where do you live?
Houston.
Houston. And other than coming up here once a month, you said, since February?
Pretty much.
Do you ever visit? Do you ever come to Shreveport?
My first time to Shreveport was as I was coming up here for
this job?
project. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Arsenault, do you have any, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Arsenault, do you have any awards, recognitions not to exceed 15 minutes?
My micro.
Use this one if you need to.
You have the magic touch.
I have a big voice. I do have a special guest. Actually, there are, I think, 8 special guests in the room today, and I want to introduce all of them.
Well,
First of all, the executive team for Block by Block, as we're building that plan is they're all here, and I want to introduce them. Pastor Theron Jackson, City Attorney Marcus Edwards, Bernie Howard, Christy Gustafson with the community North Louisiana Community Foundation, Bill Sabo, Thea Scott, and Terrence Green. And they're here to be the cheering section for the next person that I'm going to introduce, who is Miss Rachel Fisher. Ms. Fisher is our Harvard Fellow who's been here for about 9.5 weeks. I have developed a close working relationship with Ms. Fisher. Her undergraduate degree is in architecture from Columbia University, and she's a recent graduate of the Graduate School of Design and Urban Planning from Harvard University. And she's been here concentrating on the things that she's been directed by the executive team, to some extent by me, to look at some of our issues of blight and redevelopment, and to make some findings and some recommendations. And she is here to make a brief presentation of that to you. So I give you someone who has become a close friend and colleague, Rachel Fisher.
Hello, while this is getting set up. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, for inviting me to speak today, and thank you to Madam Vice Chair for welcoming me up here, as well as the rest of the council. I really appreciate seeing you and seeing you, some of you again, actually. As the mayor said, I've been here for about 10 weeks, serving as a summer fellow in the office. And my charge was to address blight with code enforcement. Actually really consistent with what we were just discussing, and looking at the property standards process and finding ways to make the revitalization process faster. So I'm going to give you a little bit of context. Blight, as we know it, it's technically a legal term, but what I like to say and what I've heard a lot is you know it when you see it. And I think that speaks really highly to the fact that blight is a very subjective thing. Different people feel like different things can constitute blight. But what's most important is we know that this is a pervasive and long-lasting issue. If you look at the slide on the left, there's a page from the 1956 master plan, which identifies areas of blight that are consistent with the ones that we still see with the most blight in 2025. And so I say this because this is an issue that supersedes administration and it supersedes boundaries. So the goal of my fellowship was to understand how code enforcement processes can be streamlined, to understand how blight and vacancy works and is perpetuated in the city, and then to move towards proactive systems focusing on revitalization and redevelopment. And so what did I do? How did I get there? I did 39 interviews. Hopefully I'll get one more, so we could say 40 interviews with people in the city, with community members, with community leaders. I've attended public meetings such as this one, historic planning commissions, environmental courts, and I've analyzed quantitative and geospatial data across a variety of platforms. We just talked a little bit about some precedents of what's worked in other places. So what's informing me, Memphis is a great example, the Tennessee Neighborhood Preservation Act, which uses innovative legal tools to promote property re-entry into commerce. And also Kansas City has an awesome neighborhood preservation department. So they've redefined what code enforcement means and thinking about it more as a proactive thing. How do we preserve what we have that we love? So what did I learn? I'm going to emphasize that this is going to be outlined in my report much more deeply. But here's what I found in a nutshell. There's a lot of fragmentation of where data is. I had some difficulty figuring that out. The system of code enforcement is a little slow and inefficient. There's a lot of absentee property owners and complexities around titles and adjudication, and that there is a great need for coordinated property and development strategy. If you see this flow chart, this is our current code enforcement mitigation process. So this is a major finding of my work. You can take a look at this in my report. From how a property starts to the end, you won't be able to read it, and that's kind of the point, so we could figure out where the bottlenecks are. So here's what I recommend. I've distilled 3 recommendations, and I'll emphasize the first 2 are probably the most important. The first one is to integrate data and technology tracking systems into the city's operations, so ensuring that all departments can access the same software and the same data, such as parcel data, ownership data, and violation data. My Government Online, which is a particular database we use, should streamline the tracking process for environmental court processes so that more people can go to court and more properties can be seen quicker. We need to track the list of demolitions through My Government Online, and we need to track contracts through My Government Online. Number 2, we need to promote departmental collaboration, and we need to share performance metrics between these departments. We need to coordinate and set priorities. We need to check in monthly or at whatever frequency to share these goals. And we need for the community to not feel like there's divisions among the departments in the city. A community member should be able to come to everyone or anyone or one single place and get what they need done, such as through the Port City 311. And therefore, we should see all employees as ambassadors, especially for boots on the ground people. All inspectors, officers should have similar training about how to describe the city resources and external resources. Lastly, easier said than done, we need to incentivize maintenance and development. We need to support owners with deferred maintenance, roof repairs, those kinds of things, and coordinate with external community partners that will allow that process to work. We can simplify permitting processes through a variety of methods, which I'll outline in my report, and facilitate restoration where possible rather than demolition, and coordinate with historic preservation to lead these goals. So what? I will outline that I've been in Shreveport just for 10 weeks, a little bit longer, actually, even though my fellowship term has moved in earlier. And it's been amazing to be here on a personal level. Everyone is so welcoming and kind, and I've made so many friends and learned so much. And that by far stood out to me, and I say this in this context because blight is a systemic issue, but it is one that we can address. It is one that Shreveport is ready to address with bold actions and solutions. And this council and our administration is ready to unify. We already have a unified community. We're ready to do it. And we can do that. So fostering cross-departmental collaboration is something that the council is uniquely poised to do. And don't let the momentum stop with me or any one person. So thank you. And if you have any questions.
I have one. Ms. Rachel, I did enjoy my one-on-one visit with you. It was very informative. I like some of the ideals and projections that you gave for the city. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Anyone else?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
If I may, Madam Vice Chair, I would also like to introduce Pasha McTyson,
Okay.
who is the coordinator for the Summer Fellowship Program at Harvard, and she was here to watch Ms. Fisher's performance and to spend a little time in Shreveport, and
Okay.
has already spent some time in Baton Rouge, I understand. So
Right. Thank you so much.
We're very delighted to have her with us today, too.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you. Mayor Arsenault, do you have any communications of the mayor relative to city business other than awards, recognitions, or distinguished guests?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Move on to reports. Do any council members have any concerns relative to property standards for Mr. Green? Anything for Mr. Green? No?
Mr. Green, if you can, I know we've been doing a lot of property sweeps and finding a lot of tires and different things, and I wanted to thank you and thank the administration, Mayor Arsenault, for taking that initiative because we are cleaning up the community. I want you to tell others, number one, we are putting up cameras to catch illegal dumping. So those that are doing it, we will start catching you and prosecuting you. So let's not do any more illegal dumping, but also let them know if they do have things such as tires, couches, How can they dispose of those things without taking them into the neighborhood and dumping it illegally? What's the process and the time frame? What does that look like?
Weekly, you can put out up to four tires for your trash day. Although I would recommend calling in advance to let Public Works know. But by law, you can put out up to four tires. If you have tires during the sweeps that we're doing, you can always check the city's website, see wherever the sweep is this week, this Saturday, we'll be at Bill Cockrell Park. If you have tires, bring them to Bill Cockrell Park. We'd rather take them than have to go and pick them up out of a neighborhood. So that's another route that citizens can take. And if I'm not mistaken, the parish may also have at the compactor sites. I at least know going out towards Norris Ferry, you can take one or two tires over there. So they have a place for tires there.
And that's 4 tires per week or just?
Yes.
Per week.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair. Mr. Green, just one quick question. What is the suggestion that we can give our constituents on the disposal of paint?
Paint disposal.
Disposal of paint, excuse me, Mr. Settle.
Paint disposal, you have to have it solidified, don't you? Mondays? Okay.
Shreveport Green?
Yes. But they do make a solution that you can pour into it that will solidify it. But Shreveport Green will, you can give them a call and they will give you specific directions.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Green.
Okay.
Did everyone receive the revenue collection plan for the implementation report? Public hearing, none. Mr. Dark, will there be any legislation to be added today?
Not to my knowledge, Madam Chair.
Okay. Today, we will hear public comments on non-agenda items and agenda items, or we have no request to speak. Do we, Vice Chair?
Yes, Madam Chair, we do have some requests to speak. First, we have Charles Villa. Okay, how you doing, sir? You can come on up to the mic.
Lean on the sidewalk. I lean everywhere. I can't. Well.
And Mr. Charles, before you get started, go ahead and state your full name and address for the record, and then once you do, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay. My name is Charles H. Filliard. I'm at 3929 Eileen Lane, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71109. Outside my house is good sidewalk until I get down to the end. There's nowhere to get off. I have to get on the grass. I lean over to the side. I think I'm gonna fall, and it's not there. And then another sidewalk on Lakeland. It's buried over there since 1922. I don't think y'all sidewalk it's actually buried. You cannot go on the sidewalk. I have to get in the streets. And I have to get in the streets over there on Hearn. I have to get in the streets everywhere. The whole city of Shreveport sidewalk is messed up. It's not good. And I have to ride the sidewalk. I have to get on the sidewalks. I don't want to get in the street. You should understand? The sidewalks, who do the sidewalks? Who recommends the city public works or what? Who do that?
Yes, that would be Public Works.
Who do the sidewalk?
Mr. Morgan, can you talk to Mr. Delroy side? Okay. He's gonna take care of you right in the back there. So, and you're at 39?
I want to talk about one other thing.
Okay.
About the Amtrak. Jenkins got $11 million. I seen it on I seen it on YouTube or something. I seen it on something. I heard about it. He had $11 million for the Amtrak program. So Amtrak ought to be coming through here pretty soon. Shouldn't it be him down the city of Shreveport? They had Amtrak, and Amtrak was coming here. Well, my mother was in, she 94, she passed on. But they saw this Amtrak was him and y'all parents was here. This used to come through the city of Shreveport. They're supposed to start that up pretty soon. I think they still behind. They're going through Mississippi now. Supposed to be going through Monroe or something. Supposed to start up pretty soon. So I'm trying to get in on that. But right now, I'm finna go to Vegas and gotta get some nerve. I gotta get to a hospital. I gotta get up and walk. I don't like this chair. And I'm always leaning. And then the streets out here, outside this place is leaning. Everything is leaning in Shreveport. So I wish they'd do something about this, especially there on Lakeland. On Lakeland, it's buried. You can't see the sidewalk.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Charles. We got those, and then Mr. Morgan will talk to you about the sidewalks and then a time frame.
Please do something about it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Kenny Gordon. How you doing, Mr. Kenny? I know you're not new to this, but you can just state your name for the record, and you got 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to say good afternoon to everyone. My name is Kenny Gordon. I live at 630 Hendricks Place, Freeport, Louisiana, 71106. First of all, I have to thank Mr. Morgan and Mr. Green for helping me with my neighborhood. It's looking very nice, and I have to express that. I just can't help myself. Secondly, I'd like to mention the painting of the tower that you all are thinking about doing. I think that's a good thing. I saw the towers that you're talking about painting or having them repainted. That's great. But I think that the painting of the streets are more important. And the reason I say that is because I almost had an accident coming out of the casino. Yes, I'm a gambler. And as I was trying to come out of the casino, I could not see the lines. And I almost ran into a car, and the car almost ran into me. So I think that if you took those dollars that you're talking about painting the towers with and put it into our streets, I think it'd be a lot better. I think that we'll have less accidents, and I think that people can drive a lot better when they can see the lanes. I also think that elderly people like myself would fare better in the city if the streets were painted, because then they can see the lines and so forth. So if you would consider that, putting that money toward the lines on the street so that people can see, as opposed to painting the towers at this present time, I think that would be a lot better.
What street was this, Mr. Gordon?
It's called Live Boulevard. If you go to Live and you come out of there, it's hard to see.
You're in Bossier.
Oh, yeah, it is in Bossier, isn't it? But you know what? I agree with you now. But Shreveport streets are just as bad.
We can't paint them streets, though.
We're not gonna be able to go to.
Yeah, but Shreveport streets are just as bad. So I would say, please, drive around Shreveport, because I do all the time. I love this place.
Right.
I'm from Houston. And I came back here because, number one, there's not a lot of people. You can get around 15 minutes anywhere, so it's great. But the streets, not just Bossier, but Shreveport too,
Right.
they're just as bad there here as well. Okay, thank you.
Some of that money you winning over there, bring it over here and we'll add it to the pot.
Well, you know what? Now,
If you win it, stay over there.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, first of all, I want to pray for your husband.
Thank you,
And,
Mr.
and I didn't know that he was sick and stuff. But the thing is, he won money.
Don't
And
tell
I'm
our
trying to-
business, Mr. Gordon.
Well, I'm trying to find out how
Mr.
he
Gordon,
won
your
so I
time is
can
up,
win
sir.
something and
Mr.
bring
Gordon,
it.
your time is up.
Mr. Gordon, our pastor here.
Shut this down.
But please consider that.
Let's go, we
you.
could have shut this
Yeah,
down.
your time is up. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
We have one more, Miss Irma Rogers.
Saw a lot of church bands over at the casino too, Mr. Gordon.
I hope not, Pastor. Good afternoon, Irma Rogers, 1920 Michoud Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. To Madam Vice Chair, other council persons, Mayor Arsenault, and staff. I made a report last week to the Parish Commission. I felt I should do the same for our city as we do receive some funds from you guys. The MLK CDC routinely runs 10 to 12 programs a year. They're listed by quarters on the flyers that we put out. And just to make you aware, two of the items that I thought were most important from last year is getting our senior citizens back into senior socialization, which was shut down due to the COVID. And now we feel like they're back thoroughly. We had 11 meetings plus 2 special meetings, 11 regular monthly meetings. And then we had winter weatherization, which shows them how to weatherize themselves, not be caught with fires and things of that nature. And we had our fall forum, which helps with responding to natural and man-made disasters. Also, of special interest may be a lot of the city funding that we use for our summer camps. We do the Girls Butterfly Camp. These camps are in conjunction with the Shreveport Police Department. The Girls Butterfly Camp, the Boys Camp, we run Summer Basics alone. That's a standalone 2-week camp that we pay the tutors to come. This year's, just the budget for the teachers was $10,000 for those 2 weeks to help our children. But that is paying off. Also, you fill in the gaps for some of our student services. Newly coming up, I'd like to target what we've done with our students since 2021 when we instituted Summer Basics. And many of the things that we instituted in 2021, we gave that data to the school board on about 100 students, which showed that everybody increased except for 3 students. Now, the state superintendent has been using that a lot about going back to basics. So those are the things that we have done is pull all of our schools up from the F status. We have no schools in F status in the MLK area right now. However, this is probably going to change next year. If you look at the new SBS school performance scores, the requirements are that DIBELS from K to 2 will be counted and included with the schools. There must be a growth of at least 25% in English language arts and math. That means if you have at least 400 students in that school, at least 100 of them have to come up. I made the demonstration for the commission about the bell-shaped curve. So they're not just looking for basic and approaching basic. They want mastery or advanced, which is at the top end of the curve, your A and B category, not the C category, which is passing. So that means we're going to have to do more with less. Thank you for your time. If you need questions, you know how to reach me.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers.
Madam Chair, that concludes public comments.
Thank you. We will have an executive appointment to consider tomorrow. There are no items under the consent agenda for introduction to be adopted. Okay. Mr. Dark, will you proceed to regular agenda legislation, please?
Certainly, Madam Chair. You're doing fine, by the way.
Thank you.
The first item under resolutions is 89. That's the execution of the agreement between the city and Grambling State for the football game. There was some discussion last time about promotion efforts, and if you've looked lately, you have seen a great deal more effort. We did some inquiry and tried to get some things going, and I think that's beginning to pay off. 90 is celebrating the life of Ms. Geneva Moore on her 110th birthday, which I believe is this Thursday or Friday. Friday, I think. Scary when you read something about someone who retired 50 years ago. It's just amazing. That's all under introduction, or excuse me, it's on second reading.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dark. Would you proceed with introduction of resolutions not to be adopted till August 26, 2025?
91 is accepting a donation from the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation. This is $28,958, and it will buy 2 fire department rescue boats. That will go in the enrichment fund. It's required for you to approve it because it's in excess of $10,000. 92 is one of those energy lease assignments from Cypress to Apex Natural Gas so that wells can actually be drilled. 93 is a supplemental agreement with an engineering firm called McKim & Cree. And the reason this is coming to you is that the contract is now growing to the point where it has now reached the $1 million or will soon reach the $1 million threshold. And under our ordinances, it's required to come to you for that.
Mr. Dark, would you proceed with introduction of ordinance not to be adopted prior to August 26, 2025?
71 and 72 are companions. They amend the airport budget and the capital budget. Airports just took bids, I believe, sometime right at the end of July for their federal inspection station. The bids were just a little bit over the budget, but they believe this was a good bid. They want to award it. So there's a little supplemental money moving from the airport fund to the capital fund for that project. They're also creating a new project that you may have heard a little bit about for what they're calling a multimodal facility at the airport on Hollywood. I believe that's $500,000. Again, that's from airport funds. 73 and 74 are similar, but they're not exactly companions. They're both declaring city-owned property to be surplus. One of them is 401 Texas, the building community development just moved out of, and the other is the former fire station number 14. Now, the way I understand it, this is the first step. There is actually a separate set of legislation that will come to you perhaps next time or the time after that that will set the minimum bid price and all those sorts of things. This is just the first step in doing all that. And 75 amends Chapter 18 relative to abandoned aircraft. This is something that the airport folks discovered that they needed to have more legal spell out as far as what they could do with abandoned aircraft, and the ordinance goes through a fairly detailed procedure about if a piece of aircraft has been abandoned for 60 days or more, notice has to be provided, and if they do not respond or do not remove it, there are opportunities to sell that. Interestingly, though, the way it works is that if an owner simply refuses to move it and we sell it, we still are obligated. We're not taking possession of it. We would actually be able to give them any excess over what it cost us to do that from the bid price. But that was prepared with the airport authority and with their contract attorney, I believe Ron Stamps, and Mr. Blackwell's here if you have questions on that.
Any questions on this ordinance? No? Okay. Mr. Dark, please proceed with ordinance on second reading and final passage, please.
61 is zoning case 2528C. This is the one at Live Oak in Kingston that's been postponed a couple of times.
Okay.
64 is one that was postponed last time. It amends the debt service budget. The current debt service budget does not include the approximately $3.7 million in debt that we will pay for the 2024 bonds this year. In order to be able to pay that with the appropriate budget, we need to amend the budget to do that. The fund has plenty of resources to do that. We will be drawing this down. I know Councilman Brooks had it postponed. If any of you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer that one. 68 amends the riverfront budget. We're doing two things in that. We are trying to pay a $97,000 obligation that is a leftover from when the Epic Center building was going to be used for a different purpose than it now apparently is. It's now going to be used as part of the G-Unit complex. We still have the bill to pay, and we can't pay it from the grant anymore, so we're going to try to do it that way. There's also a little bit extra year-end money, and we're budgeting a little of that to pay this bill, and the rest would just go into the reserve that can be spent next year.
If I may, Madam Vice Chair, I want to make it clear that the operating reserve portion of this is the operating reserve for the Riverfront Development Special Revenue Fund. It is not for the general fund operating reserve.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, several funds have reserves. This is one that does. 69 amends certain sections of the UDC, mostly, I believe, to specify when traffic impact studies must be done. I think generally it applies for new commercial over 100,000 square feet or with more than 200 parking places, multifamily units of 100 units or more, and new subdivisions of 50 units or more. It's trying, again, to specify the circumstances under which a traffic study might be required.
Any questions? No? Okay. Madam Clerk, is there any table legislation to be removed from the table today?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Appeals, we have no property standards or ABO appeals to be considered today. We have no MPC, ZBA appeals to consider today. Are there any appeals, Madam Chair, Madam Clerk?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Are there any reports from officers, boards, and committees? Madam Clerk, is there a clerk's report?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Executive session? None. Is there anything else? If there isn't anything else, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
You may.